Welcome back, students. In the last lecture, we have studied about principles of living things or principles of life. Okay. Today's topic is again a basic level of what you have to study in the living world. Difference between living and non-living things. There are 5 points of difference I've given. You have to remember any 4 out of them. Living things show growth from within. Non-living things show growth by accumulation of materials on their surface. For example, if you take a plant or an animal, our growth takes place from within. That means our biomass increases. Correct? The number of cells in our body increases and accordingly the size of our organs increase. But if you take an example of a non-living thing, formation of a mountain or formation of a heap of soil, तो सॉइल के पार्टिकल्स एक के ऊपर एक जमा होने के वजह से उसका साइज इंक्रीज होता है. तो नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स अंदर से कुछ ग्रोथ नहीं है उनमें. ग्रोथ इज ऑल सुपरफिशियल, दैट इज ऑन द सरफेस. ओके, they reproduce sexually or asexually. This is regarding living things. Non-living things do not reproduce. Living things perform metabolism in order to obtain energy. That is, we undergo process of respiration to obtain energy. Like non-living things, there is no metabolic changes taking place. Living things, they show irritability and respond to stimulus, as we have studied in the last lecture. Irritability means we respond ourselves to the changes taking place in our surroundings. वैसे non-living things में ये सब हमें नहीं दिखता है. There is no irritability seen. Point number 5. Living things undergo aging and eventually they die. But this you do not find in non-living things. Non-living things do not have a finite lifespan. जैसे non-living living things में होता है in plants or the animal, we all have a definite lifespan. वैसे definite lifespan is not seen in non-living things. So this is again a very important question, difference between living and non-living things. Now, what are the all-inclusive characteristics of life? Means what? Which are the characteristics present in all living things? So one is metabolism, another is responsiveness to stimuli. These are the two characteristics which are present in all living things. One is metabolism and second is responsiveness to stimuli. Now, the question arises, patient declared as brain dead are on life support. So those patients who are declared as brain dead, are they living or non-living? So see, the brain controls all the life processes in our body, and in a brain dead person, there is no definite characters of living things seen, because that person now is completely dependent on machines. No body metabolism is active. So patients who are declared as brain dead are on life support. They are considered to be non-living because in them the characteristics of the living things are not seen. There is no metabolism taking place. They are all dependent only on machines. Okay, so such type of application based questions can come in your exams. Next topic. Yeah. Now see, when you go to study plants or animals, you classify them, you arrange them into different categories. That is called as classification. You give them different names. Okay. So how can we study large number of organisms at a glance? तो उसके लिए हम क्या करते हैं? We study systematics. We systematically arrange plants and animals so that you can study them at a glance. देख के ही हमें समझ में आ जाता है कि ये plant या animal कौन सा है. That's all because of the systematic study which we do. So what is systematic? This definition here is important. Systematic study of organisms with the help of taxonomic aids can be used to study a large number of organisms at a glance. Systematic study में we are using certain taxonomical aids. कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं जिनका help लेके हम systematics पढ़ते हैं and due to which we can understand every plant and animal. अभी वो aids क्या क्या है? So you can see here botanical garden, herbarium, monograph, museum, zoological park, keys, flora, manuals. ये सब क्या है? Taxonomic aids है. So in your exam you may get enlist taxonomic aids. तो अगर आपको क्वेश्चन आता है enlist, you only have to write the names of the taxonomic aids. Okay. Now next, a note on taxonomic aids. So what are those? The taxonomic studies of various species of plants, animals, and all other microbes which are useful in agriculture, forestry, industries, and in general, knowing our bioresources and their diversity. That is, when we study taxonomy on the basis of its use in different industries, on the basis of the bioresources, यानी कौन से plants, animals available है, कौन से अलग-अलग type के species available है. So these studies would require correct classification and identification. तो अगर हमें taxonomic study करना है, so first what we have to do is we have to classify organisms, we have to identify organisms. Now who are those who are doing this? So those people who are working on this are called as biologists. Biologists have established certain procedures and techniques where we can store, we can preserve the information regarding all the plants and animals. And some of them have been explained here in the form of aids. So now, in the further part of the chapter, we are going to study different aids, like what are botanical gardens, what are manuals, herbarium, monograph, ये सब क्या है, what are zoological parks, okay, museums, we are going to study them in detail. So what is important here is the definition of systematic study. Then what do you mean by taxonomic aids? What are the different taxonomic aids? Clear? Now next. Let us start with the number one, that is herbarium. Now what do you mean by herbarium? तो यहाँ पे आपको जो दिखता है on the right hand side, these are all the samples, or you can say these are all the snapshots या pictures of the herbarium. ये कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स है, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो अलग अलग प्लांट्स को एक पेपर पे चिपकाया हुआ है. इफ यू कैन सी इट क्लियरली यू कैन फाइंड इट. ओके, तो हर्बेरियम क्या है? तो इट इज अ प्रोसीजर वेयर यू कैन प्रिजर्व सर्टेन प्लांट्स. ये हर्बेरिया इज द प्रोसीजर where you can preserve certain plants, and even animal species have been preserved, but plant species are preserved by attaching them on a herbarium sheet and then storing it properly over a loaded material. ठीक है, यानी सिंपल वे में अगर मुझे किसी प्लांट का हर्बेरियम बनाना है, if I am visiting some hill station and I'm being to that place for nearly 1 to 2 months, and after that I want to come and tell my friends or my colleagues or my teachers about the plants which I have collected. तो 2 महीने के लिए वो प्लांट जैसा था वैसे कैसे रहेगा? तो इट इज बीन डन बाय मींस ऑफ हर्बेरियम. हमें एक शीट लेना है या फिर एक सिंपल पेपर लेना है. जो प्लांट मुझे मिला है, दैट प्लांट आई विल बी टेकिंग, आई विल पेस्ट इट ऑन दैट पेपर. करेक्ट? वो पेपर में एक न्यूज़पेपर में रैप करूंगी and that newspaper I'll keep it under a load. हम हमारे मैट्रेस के नीचे रख सकते हैं या किसी बड़े बैग के नीचे रख सकते हैं, so that it will be pressed. तो वो ड्राई भी होगा, प्रेस्ड भी होगा और जैसा था वैसे रहेगा for nearly 2 to 3 months. अगर हम उसे केमिकल से ट्रीट करते हैं so that you can preserve it for many years also. लेकिन जो लोकल हर्बेरियम्स बनाए जाते हैं, that you can do in a simple way. You can paste it on a sheet of paper, cover it with a newspaper and keep them under loads. Okay? So what is herbarium now? So herbarium is a dried plant specimen that is pressed, treated and mounted on a standard sized sheet in order to preserve it. All these points of note are important. Now what are the essentials of a good herbarium? एक अच्छी क्वालिटी का herbarium अगर हमें बनाना है तो what is required? Number 1, identify and label the collected specimen correctly. जो भी specimen मैं लूंगी उसमें properly label करूंगी और उसे collect करूंगी. Specimens must be stored in a dry place because you want to make it dry. So जहाँ पे moisture कम हो ऐसी जगह पे हमें उसे रखना है. Specimens must be stored in a dry place. Pressed and mounted on a sheet of paper called herbarium sheets. जिस पेपर पे उसे लगाया जाता है उसे बोला जाएगा herbarium sheets. In order to preserve the specimen for a longer duration, अगर हमें उसे बहुत सालों के लिए रखना है तो acid free paper, special glue and inks are used. herbarium paper, herbarium glue are available in the market that can be used if you want to keep that herbarium for a longer duration. Specimens must be dried well to prevent rotting. वो खराब ना हो, decay ना हो, इसलिए उसे हमें properly dry करना है. It is also essential to record the date. अगर आप यहाँ पे देखोगे, here on the right hand side corner नीचे, okay, एक label दिखता है. That label is not that clear. लेकिन इस label पे हम क्या लिखते हैं? You write the date on which you are getting the material. Place of collection, कहाँ से हमें इसे लाया है. अगर हमें उसका क्लासिफिकेशन पता है तो वो लिख सकते हैं, लाइक वेदर इट बिलोंग्स टू विद सब किंगडम, कौन से डिवीजन, कौन से क्लास से भी बिलोंग करता है, उसका जीनस क्या है, उसका स्पीशीज क्या है, दैट यू कैन राइट इट. करेक्ट. अगर उसका डिटेल हाईलाइट या इकोलॉजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज इफ यू नो यू कैन राइट इट, यानी कौन से एरिया में वो मिलता है, व्हाट इज देयर इकोनॉमिक यूजेस, इकोलॉजिकल यूजेस, उसके कैरेक्टर्स अगर आपको पता है तो वो भी आप लिख सकते हो. तो ये जो हम राइट हैंड साइड कॉर्नर में लिखते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज लेबल. Okay, it is called as label. So information which is given at the lower right side corner is called as label. तो ये जो भी points I have given you regarding herbarium are all very very important. Okay, so ये question अगर आपको exam में आता है तो it may come like this. Write a note on herbarium or what are the essentials of a good herbarium. Okay, so this was the first taxonomic aid which we have studied, that is herbarium. और अगर repeatedly I am telling, अगर question exam में आता है तो either they'll give you note on herbarium or they may give you what are the essentials of a good herbarium. Now next is botanical gardens. So now botanical gardens are totally different from the garden or the parks which are available in our area. जो हमारे एरिया में हम गार्डन या पार्क्स देखते हैं, those are not botanical gardens. Botanical gardens ऐसे पार्क्स को बोला जाता है जहाँ पे the varieties of plants have been kept, they are properly labeled, उनका scientific information वहाँ पे लिखा जाता है, and they have arranged in a proper systematic manner. ऐसे पार्क या गार्डन को बोला जाता है botanical garden. So it is a place where plants of different varieties are collected. Plants of exotic varieties यानी foreign variety के plants भी वहाँ पे लगाए जाते हैं from all over the world. They are grown in vivo. In vivo का मतलब है soil में हमारे सामने लगाया जाता है. Okay, on an open ground it is been made and it is arranged in a scientific and systematic manner. तो उसे बोला जाता है botanical garden. So here you can see different botanical gardens have been shown. यहाँ पे you can see pruning techniques have been applied. Pruning यानी क्या? Plants को cut किया जाता है in a proper way to give different shapes. Okay, you can see the plants have been grown in different varieties. अलग-अलग forms में है, herbs में, shrubs में, trees में, अलग-अलग forms में है. Here you can see exotic varieties present in some of the plants. In some of the gardens you can find there is proper arrangement, yeah, proper decoration has been done in a systematic manner to represent a botanical garden. So definition of botanical garden is important. Then importance of botanical garden, क्यों जरूरी है ये? It is an assemblage of living plants maintained for botanical study and research purpose. Botanist के लिए ये है, means to make plants available for the botanist or the researchers. It is important for the record of the local flora. अभी suppose you see a botanical garden which is present in Bangalore. तो Bangalore Botanical Garden which is Lal Bagh Botanical Garden. Bangalore में जो botanical garden है, that is called as Lal Bagh Botanical Garden. So वहाँ पे आपको क्या दिखेंगे? There you can see varieties of plants which are seen in South India. Okay, it provides facilities for the collection of living plants material for botanical studies. जब यहाँ पे plants grow किए जाते हैं तो वहाँ पर seeds are properly packed and preserved. Okay, then some plant materials have been packed and preserved for the researchers or botanists to study. There is supply of seeds and materials from the botanical investigation. Botanical gardens के अंदर herbarium हो सकता है, research laboratories होते हैं, greenhouses होते हैं, libraries होते हैं. Okay, so these are certain points which you can note down for importance of botanical garden. Okay, यहाँ पर भी herbarium की तरह definition भी जरूरी है और उसका importance भी जरूरी है. So what all points or what all notes have been told you in this video, you all have to write it down in your notebooks. जैसे आपने पहले लेक्चर का लिख लिया होगा, आई सपोज द सेम वे फॉर द सेकेंड लेक्चर एज वेल यू हैव टू राइट इट डाउन इन योर नोटबुक्स। ये सारे नोट्स, ये सारे पॉइंट्स आपके नोटबुक में होने चाहिए। ओके, सो विल स्टॉप हियर फॉर टुडे।